Welcome back to the Socially Awesome channel. I am so excited today to be bringing Courtney Koenig to the channel. I don't even know how to express all the things I'm excited about in words today, because Courtney does something so different than I've ever had on the channel, ever. Like, she serves you in a whole different way. And I'm excited to learn. I'm excited to learn more about it, actually, because I'm intrigued by it, and I'm really just into it. So before I spill all the beans, tell me a little bit about what you do, who you serve, so that we can just hear it from you, because I'll just spill it all.
Well, I'm Courtney Koenig, and Elise, thank you so much for having me on the show today, and thanks for the listeners. So excited to be here. So grateful. And I am a human design and manifestation coach, helping women to have more power, purpose, and profit in their businesses, and to do it their way, based on their innate gifts and how they operate. So human design is like the superpower of all personal development tools, and it gives us a roadmap of like, who are we and who are the very gifts that we can lean into, and what also are our needs. What do we physically need and emotionally need, and the more that we tap into that, the more we're doing the inner power work that actually works. We're doing like self-development that's actually personal to us. There's no cookie cutter system, because it's just around us and how we can show up in the world. And so I did this experiment on myself when I first heard about human design. I was like, what is this? Because it's a little bit woo-woo, it's a little bit out there, and the chart looks like a crazy thing. You get a chart based on your date of birth, and you're like, what is this? And what does this all mean? So I keep it, and as a projector, that's one of the 5 design types, and I keep it really simple. And I'm like, here's your gift, and here's what you're going to do about it. Here's how you can really tap into that power, that profit and purpose that's inside of you, that your soul's been telling you there. You just need a little help and support getting there.
Oh, I love that. And you're not wrong to say, like, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, this is a little crazy. Because to the average person, this isn't things that you learn in grade school. These aren't things that you learn, going through high school, and or even in college or adult life. I'm in my 30s, and I had a friend that talked about it a little bit, and it was she never referred to it as human design. She would ask the same questions that you had asked, and she talked a little about moons and rising moons and things like that. But I never really understood, and she would just tell me what was going to come for me, and I'm like, oh, that's great. I never really studied it. But as you get older, and especially entrepreneurs, as they try to work on their mindset and all of these other personal development aspects, you're right. There is a lot of these tactics that we might think are crazy in the beginning, but if you have ever talked to someone that has studied money mindset or manifestation, they all think it's crazy until it works. And so I'm interested to learn more about it, because it's just new to me. It's so new. It's so foreign. So tell me a little bit about, I know you said like someone's human design and it's all like their charts and things like that are based on date of birth. What do you do with their chart? Like, do they just read it and say, okay, cool? Like, how do they implement steps from their chart into their life?
Yeah, so it's typically we do a chart reading, and how I do chart readings is through a private podcast, because there are so many elements to the chart. There's so many beautiful actions that we can take from the chart, but it's just overwhelming. And I don't like overwhelming. I don't like to feel like, well, thanks, I have no idea what to do next. Like you come away from trainings and you're like, that was great, but I don't know my name anymore. Eyes glazed over, that type of thing. So I break it down into really individual sections. Each piece of the chart has a layer of your phenomenon, and it's uncovering that layer, and also having that action step behind it that's like, okay, here's now what I know about it, here's what I'm going to do. So it's like some of the layers, like, and we'll go into this on my private podcast too, but some of your layers are Let me pull it up real fast because, my mind does not keep anything. Um, but, like, let's see. Some of your gifts are creating new things. So if you knew that, like, and you were intentional about creating new things, you're like, "Okay, when I create new things, magic happens." That takes away part of the fear of creating new things or the putting new things out there. Um, your gift is also sensing other people's needs. Like, if you're like, "Wow, when I go into conversation on a business, you know, um, messenger, I can sense their needs and I can really tap into that," you know? So it's being intentional with the gifts that we have and all those
Right.
beautiful layers of those phenomenons.
I love that you say that about creating new things because I used to have a supervisor that would tell me everything I touched turned to gold. And it wasn't necessarily that I would like start from scratch, but I really enjoy, I hate to say play devil's advocate, but I really enjoy to pull things apart and find the problems with them to make them better. And I'm very good at that, and it's very annoying to a lot of people, especially like when I get new, like I got a new software that I've been testing for my business, and I've already sent them like 12 messages, and I'm like, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. This needs a button. This is, da, 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 da. And they're like, this woman. And I'm like, I promise, I know I'm annoying, but I'm making it better for you because you would rather someone like me come through here and tear it apart so you can fix those problems than it. And I know that sounds terrible, but if I could monetize that, that's amazing because that is a gift. And it makes me be perceived sometimes as a very negative person because I always come from that devil's advocate side. But it's just me trying to almost like assure myself that, okay, this is the right decision because I've pulled it apart. I think it's great. Now I put it back together. But it can be hard to live life that way, especially if people don't understand that's just your personality. So I love hearing
Yeah.
I'm good at new things.
Yes, that is so cool. And it's cool, like, for your team to hear that too, and your family to hear that too, because then they put it into perspective and they're like, "Oh, I get it. That's her way of doing things." So instead of, like, squashing that, being like, "Okay, well, how can we, support her in that? Or how can we, better understand that perspective that she's coming from?" So it's like this synergistic energy that comes from recognizing, "Oh, we all have our talents, and when we pull them all together, it works so good."
Right. And I love that. And I was reading just some other things that, human design and just your coaching in general can help with like feeling overwhelmed, limiting beliefs, the burnout, which is something that you and I have talked about with me. I very much come from a hustle culture and the feeling that I always have to hustle. And we all have had this life shift in the last 3 years of going inside and we don't know when we're coming out. Now we're coming out. Now we're back in, the swinging door here. But like very much, if you would have asked me 3 years ago, I'm like, go, 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 go. But being reclused a little bit for a while has made me realize that I don't want to go, go, go all the time. Like I like my home. I want to stay home a lot more. I want to, so just putting things into perspective of like, you don't always have to be hustling constantly. And I think that leading to burnout is important
Yeah.
for people to recognize when that's coming, because I think that's when a lot of people give up, rather than working through.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, totally, and one of the, my programs, they send a little message every day just to help them align with their design type, and, the message that's coming out tomorrow for each of them in a different angle is, like, work boundaries are good, and and here's what you need to look at for within those work boundaries, in order to preserve yourself, to have more
Right.
energy, to, like, tap into that, and it's like, there's so much overwhelm and, like, and just emotional load out there, like, how can we help out with that just using our own innate gifts and really give ourselves permission and freedom to say, "You know what? I'm tired. I need to just watch a movie," or "I need to take a nap. I need to lay down," "I need to relax," and, I was telling my brother, he's a projector, and he's like, I was like, do you take some time to just like to, decompress like during your lunch break? He's like, you know what, when I don't work through lunch, he's like, I'm actually like way better. Like, he's like, sometimes I'll just lay down on the couch for a little bit and then go back. And he's like, I'm like, good, keep doing that, like just pockets of rest or renewal. And it looks different to each design type, but it's so necessary but it's so hard with this hustle culture. And I'm like so anti um against not doing it our way, our way is the way, and that's all it needs to be.
Yeah, and I understand, like you said, with like him talking to him saying, "Do you take breaks?" I very much have lived in this mindset of like, if I'm awake, I'm up. And that doesn't necessarily mean physically standing, but like there is no nap. Who needs a nap? Like, why do people take naps? Like if I got downtime or if I'm watching TV, I'm folding clothes too. Like I'm always doing multiple things. And a lot of that is just my brain, just it's hard to shut it off. But having to step back and I've taken several weekends here lately where I just don't pick up my phone. And it's crazy how the world around me is very baffled by that. So like even my friends and family are like, you are hard to get in touch with these days. And I'm like, I know y'all think because I do social media marketing, I sit there by my phone all day, but I honestly, I don't text message is one of the hardest ways to get in touch with me these days. You're more likely to get in touch with me by an email because if it's work time, I'm working. And if it's not work, I put my phone away and I don't usually pick up my phone during the day. And I know people don't understand that, but that's where I've gotten because I've had to stop doing so many things at one time because that would just lead to this chaos. And like you said, taking periods of rest, I very often will get anxious at my desk and I'm like, I'm going to check the mail. And I just got to get up and go check the mail. And with so many people working in their houses these days, instead of an office, I think it's even easier to get wrapped up into so many things at one time. I don't know if you agree, but like, it's even harder to separate work and home. So having to take those rest periods.
Yeah, it is hard to separate that work from home, it all blends in, and it's like, if we're checking our messages, like, at 10 o'clock at night before we go to bed, like, it just doesn't give us good boundaries, and it makes us feel like we have to work all the time, and that emotionally is so draining, and we all come from a place where we love to serve other people and really help them out, and so being that service based, it's like, oh, well, I should just answer this message really quick, or I should get to this really quick, and I've had to like really work on myself that like weekends, if someone sends a message like Friday after 5, I'm gonna wait till Monday, you know, and unless it's like something really crucial, but it usually is not. No one's gonna die, So so
Well,
it makes me feel better.
I've learned that I've trained people that I'm pretty responsive, and that's what I've learned from stepping back.
Yeah.
People are, like I said, it's usually friends, family, people that are, used to being in contact with me daily, but they've had to learn that it might be 24 hours, might be 48 if it's on a weekend before I get back to you. And I know it's terrible, but what is that saying? Like poor planning isn't my problem kind of thing. So I've had to kind of be okay with it well, because I don't like seeing people fail, or I don't want to upset someone. But what are the repercussions on me when I take their problem on because they waited till Friday at 4 to give me a project? So that's where you do learn that sometimes it can be lonely at the top. But I mean, ideally,
but I think that's what
that person,
Yeah, and I think that's what people are craving, honestly, is they're craving more balance and more permission. So when we see top leaders who are just like, Sunday morning, all like, Saturday night, whatever it is, answering messages, they feel like they need to do the same thing. But when they see leaders and coaches who are like, I preserve myself. I believe in myself and my needs so relentlessly that I'm not going to, cause things to come in that could wait. Like this is my break time. And I know some coaches who will delete the apps for the weekend and then they'll reinstall them, just so they don't have the like, sometimes we scroll on Instagram for fun and it still work, type of thing. But like, to be so relentlessly self-preservating, who else is going to do that for us? No one but ourselves.
Right. I love that. And I love that you are empowering people to see that, because I think it's not it's not prioritized enough. And I learned very quickly last year, going into entrepreneurship full time, that this the way I did things when I was on someone else's clock isn't going to work on my clock anymore, because I'm multiple roles here and it doesn't work that way. So tell me a little bit about how people can work with you, because I think this is just so interesting, and it's something that I know you said you have like a private podcast. I think you've got some courses maybe, or some coaching. How can they work with you to find out, what their design is and how they can implement it into their life?
Yeah, well, first they can come and get their chart from my website so they can find out what they are. And on there, there's a free download. It's a my human design roadmap. So how can you lean into your type, which is the first kind of step in leaning into their human design. And then I do readings, I do, text messages. I do things that are really accessible. And then as well as launching a gold standard certification where coaches can have skills to use these tactics and strategies with manifestation principles to help their clients to go even farther and hit their goals and dreams.
Very cool. So you're going to be coaching coaches to coach their
Yes.
clients. I love that. I love
Yes.
that. And I see that being super productive, because I think, a coach can only take someone so far if that client isn't able to, tap into that certain part of their mindset. So you helping the coaches be able to help their clients do that is crazy. So tell me a little bit about how people can also get in touch with you. What's the best way for anyone listening to reach out? So I know you have your own podcast, right?
Yes.
And then you have a Facebook group that people can come in, right? So tell me a little bit
Yeah.
about how they can contact you.
Yeah, yeah. They can contact me on Facebook. We can be friends, send me a message. I'm also on Instagram and love Instagram. And send me a message over there. I love connecting with people and sharing this, community effort. Community to me is like so important. So they can hop into my community and we can meet up in different places, whether you're on Facebook or Instagram. So
That's awesome. And my last question I usually like to ask, is entrepreneurial based, because a lot of people that listen to this podcast it's their side hustle right now. They haven't gone full into it. So I've got some that I know are avid listeners that are in network marketing. They might be freelancing, a lot of people doing affiliate marketing. But what is the biggest challenge that you've had to overcome with entrepreneurship that you could give a piece of advice to the person that's out there listening that's like dipping their toe in the water, but they have not just jumped in full force yet?
I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is that I need to believe in myself relentlessly, and that when I do, great things come towards me, and when I let some belief come in and take space, then it distracts me from my vision. So what I love to do is I love to like think about my offers and my people and just like feel those emotions of that. Like, why am I really doing this one specific thing? Because, human design is kind of specific, but we all have our specific focuses, right? So, why am I really doing this specific focus? And what is it about that fulfills me, Because it's all coming from that fulfilling purpose. And what is it that I love? And so I feel those emotions kind of surround me, and I remember, like, why am I really doing this? Not just for the freedom and for the financials and for, all the experiences, but like, what is at the core of why did I choose this very thing? And then I hold on to that belief and instill that belief relentlessly throughout all the things that I do.
I love that. I love that. I think a lot of people can relate to that for sure. Is believing in yourself relentlessly. That should be a tagline. I love it. So I thank you so much for being with us today, Courtney. And anyone that's listening, all of Courtney's info will be in the show notes as well. So go check her out. Go DM her on Instagram. Get your design. I can't wait. I'm going to be doing, learning a little bit more about my own here shortly. And if you're in my audience, which if you're listening to this, you are, be ready because I'm coming to tell you what I am and what all about me. So, because I'm a projector and I can't wait to learn more about that. So thank you so much, Courtney, for being with me. Thank you all for listening. And don't forget, make it simple, make it social, make it awesome. I'll see y'all on Tuesday.